Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you for stopping by and joining us today. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe, like, share, and engage us in the comment section. So today we're going to be discussing about the recent news that has been on Al Jazeera. I've seen it on Fox News about the El Salvadorian president making some changes to the constitutions to allow him to be president indefinitely. And we just want to, react to it. It looks like a move that African politicians will make. But it's surprising that this move is coming from one of the leaders in the Americas. So we just want to, talk about is give some takes on this matter, and we'll go from there. So what do you think about this news?
This is a rather, surprising that a youth will be pulling this. This is actually typical of what you see in Africa. But in recent time, this is something that has been happening around the world. We see the Chinese president Xi Jinping, basically becoming a president for life. Putin is right there almost like a president for life because even though they conduct election in Russia, nobody beats him in election. And we've seen it in Africa, Museveni and the likes. This president of Equatorial Guinea, he is the president and the son is the vice president, and they've been in power for as long as I can remember. And we see that with the Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela. So it looks like this is a new trend. And I would think that what is fueling this is because these people get in power, step on a lot of toes, and to become, like a regular citizen, it becomes almost impossible for them because they know that, their, safety will not be guaranteed. So in order to, to be safe or, to protect themselves, they resort to being, president for life. But this is rather unfortunate that a youth will be pulling this. And over the years, we've been clamoring, youth has been clamoring for a place in leadership. But it seems to be that, each and every time they give youths, chance to rule, they become almost worse than the baby boomers. We've seen, like in the case of Nigeria, we saw what Yahaya Bello did in Kogi State. He practically ruled the Kogi State with iron fist and embezzled the state money meant for people and stuff like that. But this El Salvadorian president, I'm kind of disappointed in his move because he did a lot of swift reforms, like being tough on crime. Basically, the government accepting Bitcoin as a legal tender. So he did a lot of reforms, but for him to pull this, and I'm kind of surprised that he will be doing this or he's doing this to become a president for life. I think it's rather unfortunate. I think people should learn how to stop tinkering with the constitution. Just do your allowed period in the office and then give chance to other people. We know that a lot of times these people they tends to think that they have a lot that they can offer. That is why in Cameroon we have a Pobia that is 92 years old running for the election. I think in his mind he's thinking that he's the only one that can, take care of the country. So what happens if he dies today? So it means that nobody can rule Cameroon again. So in the case of the Salvadorian president, I think even though he's thinking that he still has a lot to offer, I think it should give people, chance to come in and, with a fresh idea and then offer their service too.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, when he campaigned, I believe he campaigned on fixing the gang problems in that country. And I think, he's working towards it. He's working towards reducing crime, reducing gang violence in the country. But you all know, whenever there's a swift reform like this, there will be a lot of unintended consequences. Been cases where, reports are saying that about 3,000 minors have been affected by these moves. They've been doing a lot of arrests. They've been making a lot of gang-related arrests to be able to curb the violence, which is a good thing. Everybody wants to be safe wherever they are. That you're in North America, you're in Africa, whichever country you're in, you want to feel safe. You don't want to be bothered by any gang-related tension. I think it's an important move. The news is saying that is looking for a way to remain indefinitely. And they're saying that the judges that he put in place made that happen. So, I mean, There's no proof to it unless you want to go interview all those judges and ask them, hey, did the president force you to make this decision? So it looks like that's what the judges in the country thought would be a good thing for the country, and they made that decision. But it's always important to remember that you're not gonna be with power forever. You know, you might be in power for a few years, but when you leave, or when it's time to turn power over to someone else, what would the people remember you for? And it's important that you remember for good things, you remember for fixing crimes, making the lives of the people better. And I know the president is also a an ally of President Trump. Maybe the president will talk to him to make sure that he continues to support, his people. But so far so good. A lot of the people are saying that he's doing great. I mean, he contested for an election, he won, obviously, and this time he's asking for another term. Hopefully, he'll be able to deliver on all his promises. He'll continue to keep his country safe, keep his people safe, and everybody will be happy.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the issue of safety and security, I think they are really, really important. But I think what we've been seeing in recent time is a lot of these world leaders hiding under the guise of safety and security of their country to remain in power. Yeah, that you're in power today does not mean that you are the only one that can do the job. There is actually a whole lot of people that can also do the job. Like in America here, oftentimes I hear people make the argument that Trump is the only one that can handle the country. So what happens after Trump's 8 years? So it means that we can't find another person that can do the job. In Nigeria, they make that argument as well. Tinubu is the only person that can run the country. Sometimes they say Peter Obi is the only one that can run the country. Then what if they are no longer here? What if tomorrow life happens? So it means that nobody else can run the country. So I think these world leaders, they should stop hiding under the guise of safety and security, the security of their country or the love of country, and then stop hiding under it to remain in power. If we go to Russia, that is exactly what is happening in Russia. Russian president is hiding under the guise of, okay, there is American threat and all of that stuff. So for that reason, I think I'm the only one that can face America, nobody else. So hypothetically speaking, if tomorrow something happens to Putin, so it means that there is nobody else that can run Russia. This is what is this is becoming very, very common. Now that a lot of these leaders, they just simply hide under the guise of security situation to remain in power. I think they should focus on leaving a legacy that will outlive them, that even when they are gone, the legacy will still be speaking for them. We see in the case of Nelson Mandela, his legacy is still out there speaking for him. People still make reference to him when you talk about democracy and stuff like that. People still reference him. So I think that is what these young leaders should be focusing on. Instead of trying to consolidate power using the judiciary to carry out their crimes, quote unquote, their crimes, instead of trying to consolidate power, instead of trying to tinker with the constitution to give them leverage to perpetrate what they want to perpetrate. I think they should just focus on motivating the next generation of, leaders to step into the position of leadership instead of, holding on to power.
Yeah, very, very good point. Very good point. And if you take it back to Africa, we have many presidents that have been in power for at least 10 years. Some presidents have been there forever. They're not interested in leaving that position. But I think it's just important that they continue to, take care of their people. And when it's time for them to leave, they leave on a good note. They leave when the music is still loud. They shouldn't be forced out the way Gaddafi was forced out. We know Gaddafi's situation had a lot of external influence that made that situation worse. And the region was relatively peaceful before it was taken out. And unfortunately, it was because the African leaders weren't united on the matter. If they were united, they would have stopped all those external forces from coming in and destroying the country. And it's been gone for multiple years now, and the region is still unstable. A lot of people have lost their lives. A lot of people, their lives have been impacted forever. If you were a doctor in the past, you're not able to restart your life, or you're not able to get your family members what they need. There's violence everywhere and there's crime everywhere. I think it's important for all those African leaders to come together and find a permanent solution to the issues in Africa. They do a lot of talking, but we don't see a lot of actions. So maybe when they start putting actions into place, working towards delivering good governance to the people, maybe we'll start to see that changes around us. I mean, Nigeria, as the case study, we've been challenged with a lot of issues, a lot of political issues, economic issues, issues that the government should have taken care of a long time because of mismanagement, because of poor leadership. We've been stuck in one spot. I think it's time for them to start thinking long term about the people to make their lives better.
Yeah, and I don't know why people ignore history and they always refuse to learn from history. And we can actually see that for the most part, these kind of moves do not end well. We saw how Gaddafi ended. We saw how Fidel Castro ended. So a lot of these people, unless you are like a superpower like Russia and China, but if you are playing local game, it doesn't really end well. So because at the end of the day, people may start fixing resistance and then people may want to remove him from power, especially now that he has a very good relationship with the White House. So there may be another president that will come in and won't like him. Maybe that relationship won't continue and people will use that administration to fight him and then try to topple him and remove him from power. So I think, just like you said, these leaders, they learn how to leave the room when the vision is still out. And then I think their biggest, one of their biggest tasks to do is to ensure that, they are motivating the next generation of leaders. They are motivating the youth. They are actually carrying the younger ones, along, teaching them the political ropes, and then ensure that they are able to step in to fill their void. But if because a lot of times we hear the argument that the youth are not serious or the younger ones are not serious, the younger ones do not know anything. But if you don't teach them, they won't know. If you continue to keep them away from power, they will not have access to power. They will not get close enough to learn what is there. So I think instead of the fear of not seeing anybody that will step into your shoe, I think they should make it as part of their responsibility to ensure that they are prepping this you know next generation. They are prepping these younger ones to step into their shoes.
Yeah, sounds good. And that's the job of a leader. A leader needs to be able to develop his followers so that they can take over when the leader is no longer available or is no longer able to do the job. So I'll just wrap it up by saying hopefully the president will continue to do a good job for the people of El Salvador. They continue to have great relationship with the countries around them and prevent wars, make the lives of the people better. Because if you think about it, the population is about, I don't think they're up to 7 million people in El Salvador. It's a pretty small country compared to other countries in the region. So I think it's important for them to, work together, collaborate, make the lives of their people better, ensure that they have no reason to want to leave the country, to want to migrate somewhere else, and to continue to work to fix the gang-related problem. So if you're from El Salvador and you want to join us in the comment section, feel free to join us. We've never been to El Salvador. If you're able to enlighten us, feel free to jump in the comment section and let's hear your opinions. So thank you for joining us. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, like, share, and we'll see you around.